Former presidential aide Reno Omokri has responded sharply to Peter Obi's criticism of President Bola Tinubu's economic policies. Obi, the ex-governor of Anambra State, accused the Tinubu administration of ruining Nigeria's economy in recent interviews. But Omokri points to the remarkable performance of a bank in which Obi holds significant shares and once served as chairman. The bank posted a record pre-tax profit of 385 billion naira for 2024, a 210% increase compared to the previous year. Omokri argues this success challenges Obi's claims and highlights that the naira actually appreciated between May 2024 and May 2025, contrary to reports of devaluation. He credits these gains to Tinubu's economic reforms, including the removal of fuel subsidies, the floating of the naira, and better management of oil revenues. Major infrastructure projects like the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway are also driving economic growth, with Nigeria's GDP rising to 3.4% in 2024 from 2.7% in 2024-2023. Omokri concludes that while Peter Obi publicly criticizes the economy, he continues to benefit from the very policies he condemns. Tragedy struck Zamfara State over the weekend as a Nigerian military airstrike mistakenly killed at least 20 civilians. According to eyewitnesses, the victims were local vigilantes pursuing armed bandits who had earlier attacked Mani and Wabi villages in Maru district, stealing cattle and kidnapping residents. In a desperate effort to rescue their loved ones, volunteers from Maraya and neighboring communities mobilized to confront the attackers. But tragedy unfolded when a military jet deployed after residents alerted security forces misidentified the vigilantes as the criminals they were chasing and bombed them. Residents described the horror, calling it a double tragedy. They not only lost people to bandits, but also to a military meant to protect them. Human rights group Amnesty International condemned the airstrike, calling for a transparent investigation and an end to what they term reckless bombardments of civilian areas. This incident adds to a growing list of mistaken airstrikes in Nigeria's northwest. In recent years, similar errors have killed hundreds, from religious gatherings to displaced persons camps. As the nation reels from yet another preventable loss, citizens are demanding accountability, better intelligence, and a military response that prioritizes civilian lives over collateral damage. Senator Shehu Sani, former representative of Kaduna Central in the 8th Senate, has sharply criticized northern political leaders for failing to transform the north into a prosperous and thriving region, despite having control over national affairs for many years. Speaking at his residence in Kaduna, Sani urged the people of the north not to be misled by politicians excluded from government who seek to stir unrest. He commended President Bola Tinubu's administration for its progress so far and encouraged northerners to support Tinubu in the upcoming 2027 elections. Sani recalled that the Northwest has produced two presidents since 1999, Umar Musa Yar'Adua and Muhammadu Buhari, and highlighted the Southwest's support for these administrations. He argued that, for the sake of fairness and national unity, the Southwest should complete its 8-year term under Tinubu, with any future opposition candidate also coming from that region. Acknowledging ongoing security challenges such as banditry and killing in parts of the north, Sani noted improvements under current leadership, particularly in southern Kaduna, where peace has been restored. He praised the presence of northern leaders in key federal positions and cited recent development projects benefiting Kaduna State. He concluded by urging the government to continue addressing northern challenges and called on critics to offer constructive feedback to help build a stronger Nigeria. Heavy flash flooding in north-central Nigeria has claimed over 200 lives, officials confirm, with hundreds more missing and feared dead. The worst devastation was in the town of Mokwa, Niger State, where overnight rains triggered a flood described as the worst in living memory. More than 250 homes were destroyed in a single morning, wiping out entire neighborhoods. Ahmad Suleiman, the Niger State Humanitarian Commissioner, told Channels Television that while the official death toll stood at around 150 days ago, more than 200 bodies have now been recovered. He cautioned that the exact number of casualties remains unknown as search efforts continue. Residents say water had been building behind blocked drainage culverts near an abandoned railway line, which eventually gave way, unleashing a torrent that swept through the town. Poor drainage infrastructure, construction on waterways, and waste dumping worsened the flooding. Rescue teams have recovered bodies up to 10 kilometers away, carried into the Niger River. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency had earlier issued warnings of possible flash floods in 15 states, including Niger. While the government has delivered aid, many locals say the response has been slow and inadequate, with several families still awaiting help amid difficult conditions. The community continues to mourn and rebuild after this devastating disaster. Tensions in Rivers State remain high as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, rules out reconciliation with suspended Governor Wike-Fubara unless all key stakeholders are involved in the peace process. Speaking during a live Channels Television media chat in Abuja, Wike stated clearly that the crisis cannot be resolved by a private visit or handshake. He emphasized that the involvement of suspended lawmakers and party leaders is essential. Once political allies, the rift between Wike and Fubara has now divided the state assembly into rival factions and triggered emergency rule declared by President Bola Tinubu. Fubara was suspended and a sole administrator appointed in his place. Visibly emotional, Wike likened Fubara's alleged betrayal to a son turning a gun on the very father who raised and empowered him. He accused Fubara of working with his longtime political enemies to bring him down. As the political standoff deepens, the people of Rivers State and the nation await clarity and constitutional resolution. At least 20 lives were tragically lost during simultaneous attacks on communities in Nigeria's Benue State late Sunday night. According to police, gunmen struck the Gwer West and Upper local government areas, killing 10 and 12 people respectively. However, local sources fear the actual death toll may be much higher, possibly exceeding 30. The attacks come just days after another violent incident in Eondona village, where over 20 residents were also killed. Survivors of the latest assaults are currently receiving treatment, while security forces intensify efforts to restore order. Governor Hyacinth Alia's administration has condemned the attacks and pledged swift action to protect affected communities and prevent further bloodshed. The motive behind these coordinated assaults remains unclear, but the region has long been plagued by violent clashes, often between farming communities and nomadic herders, over land use and grazing rights. This is Television Nigerian, bringing you timely and trusted reports from across the nation. For more updates like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss a breaking story. If you're watching on TikTok, double tap the screen, leave a comment, and let us know what you think. Your voice matters, and your support keeps us going.